I grew up in a home where there were so many restrictions that by the time I got on the street, I didn't know what to do with myself.
When Lisa, Left Eye Lopes, uttered those words, the whole room fell silent. No one expected that the fiery girl from TLC, the one who had set her ex-boyfriend's mansion on fire, who ruled the stage with her left eye covered by a condom as a declaration of war, had endured such a repressive childhood. And it was that very past that turned Left Eye into a ticking emotional bomb, counting down each day until she exploded in that fateful car ride in Honduras in 2002. She left this world, but a series of unanswered questions still linger. Why would a top artist live so disconnected from the world? Why was there a camera following her until the very last moments of her life? And what did that strange journal in the Honduran jungle truly contain? The mystery of Left Eye's death doesn't lie in the accident itself. It lies in the way she lived, loved, rebelled, and vanished. Hit follow to join me in peeling back each remaining mask in a story that has never truly come to an end. The tragic beginning of a legend story. Not everyone becomes an icon, and even fewer do it with just one eye. But that's exactly how Lisa Left Eye Lopes entered the collective memory of pop culture. With a sideways gaze, a razor-sharp rap voice, and a soul more fractured than anyone ever guessed. Before becoming the heart of the legendary girl group TLC, before torching $1 million mansion, before spiraling into spiritual storms with no exit, Lisa was just a well-behaved child. Too well-behaved in a family where silence was more terrifying than screaming. Lisa Nicole Lopes was born on May 27, 1971 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, into a family where discipline was treated as a survival code. Her father, Ronald Lopes, a former U.S. Army sergeant, ran the household like a military camp. Lisa once recalled that their home was nothing short of a miniature barracks. Every morning, she and her siblings had to wake up at 6 a.m. No choices, no hesitation, no right to object. He'd walk into the bedroom shouting, "Up, up, up," and read out a list of rules. You couldn't keep your head on the pillow too long. You had to act immediately, always on a 15-minute cycle. Everything had to follow a 15-minute schedule. Lisa said, half smiling, half chilled, this wasn't positive discipline. It was a prison of time and orders. The Lopes children didn't have a childhood, only a schedule. No laughter, only precision. Lisa, with her quick eyes and sensitive soul, was the first to notice the cracks in that environment. She wasn't praised, only commanded. Not comforted, only criticized. Emotions had to be hidden. Weakness was punished. I grew up in a house with so many restrictions that when I got out into the world, I didn't know what to do with myself, she once admitted. The punishment wasn't just emotional. Her father also physically abused them. Worse, he encouraged Lisa and her siblings to drink hard liquor as minors. He called it preparing for life. But for Lisa, it was the gateway to addiction and trauma. As a teenager, she began drinking as a means of escape. When there's no one around to explain what's normal, a child invents their own version of normal. And in Lisa's world, alcohol was the only rational exit. Music came to her as a natural reaction. In a home where emotion was stifled, music was the only space where Lisa was allowed to raise her voice. Along with her siblings, she performed at church as the Lopez kids, singing, playing piano, and temporarily forgetting the pain. But that talent wasn't nurtured with love. It was fueled by repression. Lisa wasn't acknowledged as an individual. She was a good child in her father's eyes, a rule-following member of the family, a name with no right to break away from the cycle. Yet in that silence, a small flame began to spark. She left home right after high school, heading to Atlanta with only a few dollars in her pocket and one desire to be herself. She had no clear direction, but something inside pushed her to move as far as possible from the shadows where she had grown up. At 19, she made the move that would change everything. Lisa passed an audition for a new R&B girl group created by producer Perry Pebbles Reed. She was chosen immediately, not just for her voice or sharp rap skills, but for something less tangible, the explosive energy and unique perspective she brought. That was the birth of TLC with 3 members: Tion T-Boz Watkins, Crystal Jones, later replaced by Razonda Chili Thomas, and Lisa Left Eye Lopes. a nickname born from an ex-boyfriend's offhand compliment her left eye is prettier than her right. From a girl spinning every 15 minutes under her father's militant gaze, Lisa now stood in the spotlight, free-bold, unpredictable. But childhood trauma doesn't vanish easily. It lingered in her every gesture, every decision, every emotional outburst. She broke boundaries in music, but acted recklessly in her private life. She smiled radiantly on red carpets, but fell into depression when alone. That inner tug-of-war became an inseparable part of who Lisa was, and the foundation of the tragedy to come. Lisa once said, "I don't know if I've ever really been happy, but I know I've tried." Perhaps that says more than anything else. Before she was an artist, she was a child searching for gentleness in a world ruled by order. Before she became the face of TLC, she was a soul fractured by unnamed love. And before she became a tragedy, she was living proof of one haunting question. Can a person ever truly escape the shadow of their childhood? No one knows for sure. But Lisa, with one eye looking outward and the other turned inward, left us with a journey we'll never forget. And that was only the beginning. A musical journey no one could replicate. If there was one thing Lisa Lopes always managed to do, it was to stand out. No one was like her, and she never wanted to be like anyone else. In 1991, at just 19, she walked into an audition room with the mindset of someone ready to change the game, even if she didn't yet know what the rules were. What she brought wasn't just a gritty voice, clever rap flow, and a haunting sideways gaze. It was an energy no one could contain, like a spark waiting to ignite. She caught the eye of music producer Perry Pebbles Reed, who was searching for 3 pieces to form a girl group with strong R&B hip-hop vibes. Tian T-Boz Watkins, with her raspy, seductive voice, and Crystal Jones were the first 2 picks. Lisa became the third. But Crystal soon left during contract negotiations, making way for Rosanda Chili Thomas, a girl with a sweet pop voice and striking looks. As if by fate, the 3 initials TLC perfectly matched their names, Tian, Lisa, and Chili. TLC was born just like that. From the start, Lisa wasn't just the L in TLC. She was the rebellious heart, the trailblazer, the bang in a girl group about to redefine the 90s. She chose the stage name Left Eye, after a boyfriend once said her left eye was more captivating than her right. And no one argued one look at Lisa, and you were drawn in by something electrifying. Her left eye became a symbol. She wore an eye patch painted hearts beneath it, and rapped like every word was a punch loaded with purpose. TLC was unlike any girl group before them. They wore baggy clothes, pilot hats, and used condoms as fashion accessories to promote safe sex, something unheard of in the early 90s. Their debut album, Ooh, on the TLC Tip 1992 launched them as a rising force. But that was only the beginning. With their second album, Crazy Sexy Cool 1994, TLC hit full throttle. The single Creep, which Left Eye opposed for promoting infidelity, became a #1 hit. Waterfalls, a haunting track about HIV, drugs, and death, topped the Billboard charts and forced the world to listen. Lisa's rap in Waterfalls was unmistakable. Sharp, haunting, direct. No sugarcoating, no sidestepping. It was Lisa who pushed TLC towards socially conscious themes, expanding their music beyond pop appeal. TLC quickly became a cultural phenomenon. They didn't just sell tens of millions of records with 9 singles in the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10, they also racked up awards, including 4 prestigious Grammys. They appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone-dominated MTV and redefined the image of Black women in contemporary music. By 1999, with the release of Fan Mail, TLC entered a new era. The album, as the title suggests, was a thank you note to their fans, but also a declaration of rebirth. No Scrubs became TLC's biggest hit, won Best R&B Song, and cemented the group's reign over R&B pop. Lisa, with her songwriting talent and commanding presence, began to draw the eyes of critics and fans alike. But that spotlight also revealed growing cracks beneath the surface. While TLC topped charts, the public had no idea the group was teetering on the edge due to financial disputes. Despite selling millions of records, the group filed for bankruptcy in 1995. Why their contracts with Pepitone and LaFace Records were shockingly unfair, draining their income. Lisa, with her lifelong instinct to rebel, was the first to speak up. She stated publicly, Please don't call us the biggest selling girl group if we're not making any money. Her dissatisfaction grew when she felt her role was undervalued. Though a rapper-songwriter and standout personality, she believed the group's music didn't reflect her creative worth. She demanded more creative control, and even proposed that each member release solo albums to compete. A bold idea, but one neither T-Boz nor Chili supported. They saw it as Lisa trying to leave the group. These tensions pulled TLC into a fractured dynamic, still performing together, but no longer sharing the same vision. Lisa didn't hide her disappointment. In interviews, she declared herself Left Eye, a solo artist with identity, not just L in TLC like a fixed body part. She wanted more, deeper, bolder. She began recording solo material, planning an album called Supernova, making her own videos, and even signing a distribution deal in Japan, after being rejected in the US. But at the time, the public wasn't ready for Lisa to go solo. They loved TLC as a unit, and her actions were spun by the media as betrayal. Lisa was again labeled rebellious, difficult, dangerous. Yet maybe it was her brutal honesty about her creative hunger that made her so misunderstood. Still, even amid conflict, no one could deny her talent or impact. Lisa wasn't just a member of a girl group. She was the voice of TLC's complexity, the darkness, the fire, the uncomfortable truths. If T-Boz was the seductive rasp and Chili the soft beauty, then Left Eye was the flame, burning, illuminating, and sometimes destroying. And like all flames, she couldn't stop once ignited. She kept chasing her voice, her journey. She believed she had to break out of the mold, even if it meant isolation. She once said, "I wasn't born to be like anyone else. If I can't be myself within TLC, I'll be myself outside of TLC." That was Lisa. Unyielding, unapologetic, unafraid. And that was the turning point that led her to Honduras, where she was no longer a star, but a woman trying to save herself. But before the story turned dark, Lisa had already given the world something irreplaceable: fearless music and raw truth, all through the gaze of her left eye. When love becomes the sentence of an icon, it wasn't waterfalls, no scrubs, or even any blazing stage performance that etched the name Lisa Left Eye Lopes into pop culture. It was the fire that erupted inside an Atlanta mansion on an early morning in June 1994. A fire that didn't just destroy a million-dollar property, but forever altered the public's image of Left Eye. But that fire didn't start on its own. It was fueled by a wounded heart, a toxic love, and a childhood that never knew comfort. Andre Rison, NFL star once hailed as the golden boy of the Atlanta Falcons, crashed into Lisa's life like destiny. She loved him with everything she had, fiercely, loudly, romantically, and dangerously. Friends had warned Lisa, but to her, Andre was the protection she had always lacked. The only one who knew how to hold her after long nights of breakdowns. The one who could help build the dream of a power couple for a new era of Black America. But reality was a fractured dream. From the beginning, Lisa and Andre's relationship was an emotional spiral with no exit. On one hand, they were addicted to each other. On the other, they hurt each other in ways no one dared name. Andre was once arrested for violence after an argument in a parking lot led him to fire a gun into the air to stop others from intervening. Lisa spoke of being shoved, pinned down, gasping for air, and yet she forgave, and always came back. To the public, Lisa was a rising star. But behind the curtain, she was a woman suffocating under the weight of neglect, dismissal, and invisibility within her own relationship. It all came to a head on the night of June 8, 1994. Andre went to a nightclub and returned at 5 a.m. bringing home expensive sneakers for himself, but nothing for Lisa. She was furious, hurt, and according to Andre's account, she started slapping me about 50 times. Lisa, in her statement, didn't deny it. She admitted to being drunk, wounded, and out of control. She went into the bathroom, gathered all the old gifts Andre had given her, teddy bears, sneakers, little memories, and lit them on fire in a marble bathtub. She didn't expect the flames to spread so fast. She didn't expect the $1.3 million mansion to be reduced to ash within minutes. But the most painful loss wasn't material. It was the total collapse of what she once called love. Lisa was arrested and charged with first-degree arson. But instead of denying it, she turned herself in. and took responsibility. She said, "I didn't burn the house. I burned the shoes. But when I saw my face in the mirror with a big bruise from my lip to my chin, I thought I had nearly killed him. And I also thought he was going to kill me." No case before or since has so clearly reflected the tragedy of a woman trapped in the cycle of love and violence. Lisa received 5 years probation, a $10,000 fine, and was ordered to attend rehab. The media labeled her crazy, a destroyer, TLC's ticking time bomb. But few cared to listen to the rest, that Lisa had asked for help, that she'd gone to therapy, that all she ever wanted was to be seen to be loved in the true sense of the word. She once forgave Andre, and he once stood beside her in court, holding her hand, saying he understood why it happened, even after everything they got back together, and even planned to marry. But somewhere in the ashes, in the ruins of a young love that burned too hot, Lisa realized that love couldn't save her. It couldn't heal the wounds of her childhood. It couldn't fill the hollow inside her. After the fire, Lisa became a symbol of rebellion. The public remembered her more for the mansion she burned than the introspective rap in Waterfalls. She once said bitterly, "The world loves to watch women fall apart when they're famous. They don't want you weak, but if you're strong, they call you crazy." In the years that followed, Lisa lived between two worlds, one of bright lights, awards, and contracts, and another of gnawing insecurity that never left. She kept writing music, kept performing, kept trying to prove that she was more than the girl who burned down a house. But deep down, she knew the fire had become part of her public image, inseparable from her name. And it was that fire that eventually led her to Honduras. Far from Atlanta, far from Andre, far from the press and her past. She didn't just leave to rest, she left to run, to start over, to find a new definition of peace. No longer Lisa Left Eye of TLC. No longer the rebel, the girlfriend of Andre Ricin. Just a woman carrying pain, seeking healing in the forest, in meditation, in the absolute quiet of nature. And in a cruel twist of fate, the very place she fled to became the place her life ended. But Honduras is another story. On that night, the fire still burned. Not just in the mansion, but in the soul of an icon, one that can never be extinguished. A death full of questions. A chilling moment captured on film. A dusty, narrow road in Honduras. A red Mitsubishi Montero SUV speeding unusually fast. Then a scream. Then silence. The camera falls to the ground. Everything fades. These were the final images of Lisa Left Eye Lopes. Not just an artist, but a soul searching for redemption. The most unsettling part, she was the one holding the camera that recorded her own death. In April 2002, Lisa left the US for Honduras, a land she considered a place of spiritual cleansing. This wasn't her first trip. She had come here several times before seeking healing, detoxification, and a way to cast off the chaos of her life. But this time, something was different. Lisa brought along a film crew. She was creating a documentary about her healing and rebirth titled Nina New Identity Not Applicable, meant to reflect her transformation after all the storms, both mental and physical. In her final days, Lisa seemed obsessed with death. In the footage, she recounted a strange event. While walking with the crew, they accidentally struck a young Honduran boy. He was rushed to the hospital, but passed away soon after. Lisa paid all the medical bills and arranged the funeral. What chilled her to the bone was the boy's last name, Lopes, identical to hers. Lisa whispered to the camera, "I feel like there's a spirit following me. Maybe death wants me, but took the wrong person." That statement now feels like a dark prophecy. On April 25, 2002, the SUV carrying Lisa and 7 others was driving on the La Ceiba highway. Lisa was behind the wheel. According to witnesses, the vehicle suddenly veered off the road, flipped several times, and came to a halt. In the chaos, everyone in the car sustained only minor injuries except Lisa Lopes. She died instantly from severe head trauma. She was only 30 years old. News of the accident spread rapidly, but so did countless questions. First, the footage Lisa filmed just before her death was discovered in her luggage. The camera still functioning. Some called it proof that destiny had already been foretold. In her final moments, Lisa is seen wearing a headscarf, smiling, talking to the camera. Then the image shakes and collapses. her face seemingly aware of what was coming. The footage later became part of the VH1 documentary, The Last Days of Left Eye, 2007, haunting viewers around the world. There were also those who believed Lisa was under immense psychological pressure. Her final letters revealed she was undergoing a period of spiritual awakening, letting go of fame and searching for her true self after leaving behind the toxic music industry. One of her last lines read, "I'm dying my own way. A death of the old so I can be reborn as someone new." No one expected that death to be permanent. Some even theorized that the accident was connected to supernatural forces she had often mentioned. Lisa spoke of a dark spirit that had followed her since childhood, once driving her to the brink of suicide. Some spiritualists believed her final pilgrimage was an attempt to perform an exorcism, but it failed. Conspiracy theorists went further, claiming her death wasn't an accident at all, but an orchestrated event to stop her from exposing secrets of the music industry in her unfinished documentary. But no hard evidence ever surfaced. What is certain is that Lisa's death wasn't just a personal loss, it was a cultural shock. When the news broke, radio stations paused their playlists in tribute. MTV aired a full day of TLC footage. Millions of fans around the world refused to believe it. Flowers, candles, and letters were left outside the Layface Records office. At her memorial T-Boz in Chile, the remaining members of TLC were speechless through tears, as if a piece of their hearts had shattered. One detail made fans weep. Before leaving the US, Lisa had sent her mother a short message. She said, "I feel like I'm going to another world, but I'm not afraid. I just need to be free." Those were the last words her mother ever heard. When Lisa died, she couldn't even make it to Honduras, too overwhelmed by grief. The funeral was held on May 2, 2002 at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta. Over 5,000 people came to say goodbye. Lisa's death didn't just shake the music industry, it cut through the hearts of those who loved her. The small but fiery artist, sensitive, yet strong, full of scars, but always yearning for healing. The remaining members of TLC fell apart. T-Boz in Chile, in tears, admitted, "We lost the heart of TLC." They had planned to reunite for an album with Lisa, but the pain was too great. They paused everything. At the funeral, Lisa's casket was covered in white flowers. TLC's music played softly as loved ones gave their final goodbyes. Andre Rison, the man who had been both heaven and hell to her, entered with vacant eyes. He said nothing, just stared at a photo of Lisa smiling. That smile would haunt him for life. To the public, Left Eye's accident wasn't just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. It made people confront the dark side of fame, the loneliness at the top, and the helplessness when no one truly understands what someone is going through. In her final moment, Lisa Lopes was no longer Left Eye of TLC. She was a woman running from her shadows, and in the end, she didn't make it. But those eyes, especially the left one, remain etched in the memory of fans as an unforgettable icon. One blink, one gaze, one tragic crash. These became the elements of one of the most heartbreaking tales in 2000s pop history. And when you rewatch that final video, the scariest part isn't the car flipping. It's the feeling she knew. She truly knew it was coming. That's the kind of tragedy music never had the right words to tell. And maybe it never needed to, because Lisa told it all with her death. Left Eye may be gone, but the light from that left eye has never dimmed. The sharp-edged raps, the mischievous smile, the tilted defiant gaze, all of it still lives on in every song, every old tape, every unfinished dream of TLC. Lisa Lopes wasn't just a member of a legendary girl group. She was a rebellious soul, a symbol of freedom, of those brave enough to be different. And maybe somewhere out there on the other side of this world, she's still smiling. One eye, gently closed, the other, wide open, staring straight at us, as if to say, "I'm still here." Still, Left Eye. If Lisa's story moved you, if you've ever sung along to Waterfalls, or seen yourself in Unpretty, leave a comment. And if you want to keep exploring the untold journeys of artists, the backstage secrets and real-life moments beyond the spotlight, don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back with more stories you won't be able to look away from.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your screen.